Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Welcome to the 9 p.m. live English news edition. Here are the top stories. The head of state inaugurates a new mosque of Doha. The minister receives the rector of the University Agency of the Francophone. Hello, welcome to our newsroom for having the news in details. The President of the Republic, His Excellency Mr. Ismail Margeli, in a telegram sent this Saturday to his Turkish counterpart, Mr. Tayyip Erdogan, expressed his compassion and solidarity to the sister nation and friend of Turkey, victim of a deadly earthquake that killed about 20 people and injured several hundreds. The people and government of Djibouti join me in expressing their sympathy to the sister nation of Turkey in the terrible ordeal of this tragedy, wrote President Anglais, who then used his message to relay his sad condolences and those of all Djiboutians. May God spare the bodily Turkish people to recurrence of such traumatic experiences. Also implored President Ismail Margeli, who stated his faith in the ability of the friendly nation of Turkey to quickly overcome the consequences of this natural disaster. The deadly earthquake that shook the western region of Turkey, precisely the province of Izmir, also caused a mini tsunami felt in the Greek island of Samos. Now, His Excellency the President of the Republic, Mr. Ismail Margeli, inaugurated yesterday, Friday, the Doha Mosque, located on Nasser Street in the commune of Bulaus, after the completion of its construction and complete equipment. Upon his arrival at the mosque, the President of the Republic was received by His Excellency the Prime Minister Abdul Qadir Kamil Mohammed, the Minister of Islamic Affairs, Culture and Waqf Property, Mr. Mumin Hassan Barre, in charge of affairs to the Embassy of Qatar in Djibouti, in addition to the staff of the ministry and other important personalities. The President of the Republic unveiled a plaque commemorating the Doha Mosque built by the sister state of Qatar within the framework of existing cooperation between the two countries. The total area of the Doha Mosque is 4,500 square meters and can accommodate more than 2,000 people. After that, the President of the Republic attended with the crowd the Friday prayers in this mosque. It should be noted that many members of the government and parliament celebrated Friday prayers with high-ranking civilian and military officials and a large crowd of citizens in this mosque. For his part, the in charge of affairs to the Embassy of Qatar in Djibouti, Mr. Salim Rashid, expressed his deep satisfaction to have participated in the opening a ceremony of the Doha Mosque, expressing his thanks and gratitude to the President of the Republic, Mr. Ismail Margeli, for his generosity in the inauguration of this great mosque. The Republic of Djibouti strongly condemned the vicious attack that took place in Nice, in France, in the southeast France, which has resulted in 3 deaths by an aggressor carrying a knife. French police say 3 people were killed in a knife attack on a church in Nice, southern France. The mayor of Nice, Christian Estrosi, said there had been a terrorist attack in the heart of the Notre Dame church. In addition, one of the elderly victims who had come to pray was beheaded, and a suspect was shot and arrested shortly afterwards. Now, in the Ministry of Education, the Minister of Education and Vocational Training, Mr. Mustafa Mohammed Mahmoud, today received the Director of the University Agency for the Francophonie, Professor and Dr. Salim Kalbous, former Minister of Higher Education of Tunisia, in the presence of the Minister of Higher Education and Research, Dr. Nabil Mohammed. This meeting took place with the participation of the General Secretary of the Ministry, Mohammed Abdullah Mahyoub, and the Acting Inspector General of the Public Education, Mr. Abdul Qadir, officials of the University Agency for the Francophonie. After the welcome speech, the minister shed light on the history, development, and the main milestone and ambition that laid the foundation of the Djiboutian school. The head of the university agency, Professor Salim Kalbous, proposed the establishment of a sustainable capacity building program within African educational ecosystem to develop and implement strategy to support primary and secondary school teachers to address the learning difficulties of students with the support of the university agency for the Francophonie. Today, the Minister of National Education and Vocational Training, Mr. Mustafa Mohammed Mahmoud, sponsored the ceremony for the delivery of school supplies in Braille, a book for the blind dedicated to serving children with special needs. This event took place at the People's Palace in the sidelines of International Sight Day and White Can Day activities, with the participation of the head of the Department of Children with Special Needs, Mr. Idris Mumin Abdi, the president of the Djibouti's Lions Club, and senior officials of ministers and the club. Children with special needs follow the same curriculum as other students in basic education and use the same textbooks and manual currently available. The minister took this opportunity to reaffirm his commitment to providing an inclusive school where all children should benefit from quality education, expressing his sincere thanks to the Lions Club for its support in publishing the Braille brochures. It should be noted that this process took place thanks to the cooperation between the Center for Research, Media and Production for National Education, the Lions Club, and the publishing house of textbook and booklets. Now, the General of Armed Forces, General Zakaria Sheikh Ibrahim, traveled by helicopter to the point of Galafi in the Dakhil region, accompanied by the Chief of Defense Staff, Mr. Tahir Ali Mohammed, the Chief of Staff for the National Gendarmerie, Colonel Zakaria Hassan Aden, and the National Police Director, Colonel Abdullah Abdi Farah. This inspection visit is part of the strengthening of security at the borders of our country and aims to familiarize itself with the security situation in the southern region, which is under the supervision of the Armed Brigades Authority in Dakhil under the leadership of Colonel Idris Omar. Lieutenant General Zakaria Sheikh Ibrahim, accompanied by his delegation, met with the soldiers, police and customs officers stationed in Galafi to instruct them on security and remain vigilant. Now, Djiboutian Coast Guard, under the auspices of Colonel Rais Omar Baghari, commander of the Coast Guard, organized the blood donation process at the National Blood Donation Center at Pilti Hospital. Approximately 50 members of the Coast Guards made a voluntary donation to save the lives of citizens suffering from health problems, and Colonel Rais Omar Baghari initiated the donation process in the presence of the managing authorities of Pilti Hospital. The Coast Guard continues its effort to support citizens in need. The Coast Guard operates every 2 or 3 months under the auspices of Colonel Rais Omar Baghari. Now, Djiboutian Airlines, in cooperation with the Djiboutian Federation at the Games of Athletics, organized the first edition of the 10 kilometers race yesterday, 27th. This race was successful in its first edition, organized by Djibouti Airlines. The event took place in the presence of the Director General of the Djibouti Airlines, Mr. Abdurrahman, the President of the Djiboutian Athletics Federation, Mr. Said, the General Secretary to the Minister of Transport, Mr. Said Nuhu, the Coast Guard Commander, Colonel Wais Omar Baghari, as well as many guests such as the three world champions of athletics, Ahmed Salah, Abdullah Shamarke, and the Ambassador of Djibouti Airlines, the world champion Ayanle Suleiman. About 200 runners participated in the race over a distance of 5 kilometers, 7 kilometers, and 10 kilometers. The first version began with the 5-kilometer race, where the CEO of Djibouti Airlines, Mr. Abdurrahman, this race will be organized by Djiboutian Airlines every year. In his speech on this occasion, the president of the Djiboutian Athletics Federation, Mr. Said, welcomed the efforts made by Djibouti Airlines to organize this first version of the race of 5, 7, and 10 kilometers. This first edition culminated by Djiboutian Airlines for the first time in its history, in which 200 runners from Djibouti and international runners participated to promote and discover new talents. For his part, the CEO of Djibouti Airlines, Mr. Abdurrahman Ali, explained that Djibouti Airlines represent all Djiboutian, and expressing his satisfaction at having organized this event for the first time in its history, and we continue to organize it annually. He praised the close cooperation with the Djibouti Athletic Federation to raise the level of Djiboutian runners and give the opportunity to girls and boys to participate in such a competition. And this first version of the 5, 7, and 10 kilometers was successful. Prizes were awarded to the winners of the first edition of the 10-kilometer race organized by Djibouti Airlines, and the 5-kilometer race for girls. Anissa Abon took first position. In the 5-kilometer race for boys, Mohammed Idris won. In the 7-kilometer race for boys, young Hamza Mohammed won. In 10 kilometers, Hussein won. The second place was Muhyiddin Abdi, and third place was the young Ibrahim Hassan Abuh. Now, the Women's Association of Tajura, headed by Mrs. Hassan, organized a ceremony to present certificates in English to 12 young people from the city of Tajura on Friday evening. This is the 40th edition organized by the association, and Mr. Hassan, the prefect of the region, deputy head of the regional council, the mediator, Mr. Ali Dini, and the leader of the RPP in Tajura. The prefect of Tajura expressed his sincere thanks on behalf of all the inhabitants of the region to Mrs. Hasna, who spared every effort to promote the youth of Tajura and provide them with education.
And advices. Tonight, it is the night of my question is, who is teacher and what does mean teachers? He's like a water everyone wants to drink. He provides a water for everyone. But the general definition of teachers. As you know, we are different and from different families. Some short, some tall, some beautiful, some ugly, some rich, some poor, and some bad, and some good.
Moving on to international news, as I mentioned on the titles, rescuers tried to find survivors in the rubble of collapsed buildings in the western Turkey by headlamp lights on Saturday morning after a powerful earthquake that killed at least 26 people and injured more than 800 in the country and neighboring Greece. In Bayrakli, Izmir province, teams of rescuers were trying to make their way through twisted beams and concrete blocks, ruins of a 7-story apartment building, sometimes demanding silence in an attempt to locate possible survivors. The earthquake, whose magnitude was estimated at 7 on the Richter scale by the American Institute of Geophysics, occurred shortly before 12 o'clock GMT in the Aegean Sea, southwest of Izmir, Turkey's third largest city and near the Greek island of Samos. The tremor was so powerful that it was felt as far as Istanbul and Athens and caused a mini tsunami that flooded the streets of Sivrihisar, a Turkish city located near the epicenter, and swept the coast of Samos. In Turkey, 24 people died and 804 were injured, according to the government's disaster agency. This is it for the edition of 9 p.m. Thank you for watching us and have a wonderful evening.